How to hire app developers in India. This is the topic I'm going to talk about today. Especially web agencies and IT companies are planning to build mobile apps for their clients. It becomes more common that people will have a mobile app strategy because it is easier to watch some applications on mobile apps than on mobile web browsers, because in the mobile web browser there usually will be a lot of issues, some mistakes, and if you have an app then it will be very smooth, and the app can directly access the CPU of the smartphone or the tablet, and therefore it will be much more better. A good example is, for example, YouTube or the YouTube app, which also works in the web browser, but if you use it in the app, the experience will be much better. And even there are some tools like the YouTube Studio app where you can even make changes to the videos. So there's a lot of advantages of having an app. And in this video, as I said in the beginning, will be also talking on how to hire app developers in India, because of course there are many advantages of hiring developers abroad, for example in India, because the issue is usually in Europe or in the USA or in Australia, Canada, it will be very tough to find good developers, because usually they want to work in large organizations or they want to work in big cities. And maybe if you're a small company with one employee to 50 employees, or if you're the sole founder or you have up to 50 employees, it is usually not that easy to get good developers, because they want to work maybe for IBM or Microsoft or SAP or some big companies in your region. So let's have a look on how to hire developers in India. Hello, my name is Sasha Tatil. I'm the CEO of Software-Developer-India.com and YouHero, and we build software developer teams and mobile app developer teams in India for companies, especially IT companies and web agencies from Europe and English-speaking countries like USA, Canada, Australia. And in this video, we're going to talk about on how to hire developers in India. India has become a very important place for software development in general, but also for app development. If you look at the App Store, some of the most famous apps are developed in India, and even large IT companies and software companies from, for example, from the USA, like Microsoft or Facebook or other large organizations, have their mobile app developers teams or as part of their mobile app developer teams in India. And you also have a lot of course, people in India who are interested in mobile app development, and also experienced developers are available, because this IT sector has started many years ago, maybe 30 to 40 years ago. So the whole environment for IT and software development has changed, and there you will find even experienced people. It is not like maybe 20 or 30 years ago, where you would not only find like people who have like that who are coming directly from university and you need to train them, but nowadays you will find people who have already worked in large organizations, or they have or even worked in small companies, and they have worked for European and American clients, and they have built mobile apps in large teams or small teams, and they also have learned about many technologies. So first, when you are planning to hire from India, you should make first a plan, of course, how you're going to do it, for example, like with a company like YouHero, but more about that I will talk about that later. And one other important step is to, in which all technologies are you going to develop? Are you going to develop for example, only for native Android or for native iOS? Because these are two different technologies, and there you might need to hire different developers. For example, for an iOS development, you need an iOS developer who knows about Kotlin, or not Kotlin, sorry, I'm wrong. It is of course Objective-C and Swift. These technologies are used to build iOS apps, and there you need to have a dedicated or a single developer who only works on that. And you need, if you build an Android app, you need to have someone who works with Kotlin and Java, or only Kotlin or only Java, who can build these mobile apps for that platform. And maybe you are even planning not to go the native route, but to develop an app, for example, in Flutter, which you can use in on all platforms. So you can have one code base and you can build it in Android and iOS and maybe even web platforms. Or you can use tools like Ionic, which are based on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which might be more easy for example, for web developers to use because it's HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Or you can use something like React Native, which is also based on JavaScript. So if you already have web developers in-house, then it will be easier for them to also help the developers in India to build the apps in React Native. And of course, the advantage of something like React Native is that because so many people know about web development, it will be easier for you to manage this part. Regarding salaries in India, of course, they have increased in the past few years because the global demand for IT services has increased, I would say, even exponentially because of course, that situation which was 2, 3 years in 2020. And that issue has caused that many people work remotely, or maybe people need remote software, or they need kind of, yeah, I mean, a lot of tools and apps need to be built nowadays because almost all companies nowadays want to build web application software. And even older companies which are only industrial based, they are talking about themselves as software companies. So basically, the whole thing has changed to the digital world, and that is of course why the salaries also in India have increased for mobile app development. But it's always better to go for senior developers with, let's say, 5, 6, 7, 8 or even more experience, especially if it's the first person you are hiring in India. And if you're going for the next person, of course, the second or third person can be someone junior, because then you have already someone in India, a mobile app developer who is more experienced and can guide these junior developers. Another issue with hiring in India is, of course, the legal requirements. For example, if you want to hire a developer in India, it is not possible to do that directly. You need a company like, for example, Hero, which does all the legal requirements like the payroll, the social security things, and so on. So and income tax and so on and so forth, which you need to make do properly. And of course, a developer in India wants to work in an IT company which is based in India. Of course, they like to work also for European companies, but the legal framework needs to be there. So you need to go the way with companies like Software-Developer-India.com, and then we will start looking in India for the right candidates, and we will send you, for example, profiles, and you can look at those profiles and check whether they are good developers or not. Another thing which might be important is that you have someone in your own team in Europe or in the USA or wherever you are in the world, that you have someone who can guide the developers in India. That doesn't mean they need to know everything, but maybe they should know programming so that they are able to check also the code which comes from India, and also to be able to give the requirements in a proper way, right? Because if you are not an IT, if you don't know anything about IT, it will be very tough to explain to the developer in India what you want. Of course, there are other kinds of models where you have a project manager in India who, or web agency in India who will basically do everything, right? So it's not basically not hiring a developer from India. It is more like engaging one kind of a whole team in India where they will do the whole process, and you just need to give some basic ideas on how to do the mobile app development. But what I'm talking about is really hiring a developer, for example, via Software-Developer-India.com, and then you would be guiding, or you would be basically the employer of that person. And that is the difference between those two models, right? Because one issue is when you engage one IT company which does everything, is maybe there might be some communication gaps, because there will be a project manager, and the project manager will talk to the mobile app developer, or maybe the project manager will talk to the senior mobile app developer, and the senior mobile app developer will discuss it with the junior developer team, who will actually the junior developer team is actually the one who's developing the app. So there's so many layers of people where the information goes through. So it's better to have directly a developer in India where you can directly discuss the matters, which is always an advantage. So that's basically it on how you can develop hire developers in India. Of course, there are also other ways, but I told the way which is the most convenient and the best way, which we have done for the last almost the last decade, and we have seen that this is the best way to handle it. Handle it, and yeah, if you have more questions about software development in India, you can write me to sasha.tatil@yohero.de, or you can write in the comments, or you can also contact me on LinkedIn. You just type in Sasha Tatil, I will mention the name, and then you can contact me via LinkedIn. I've seen that that's maybe one of the best way to contact me in for that purpose. Thank you for watching this video and have a great day. Thank you so much.